Great, I'm here with Phoebe Parker-Shames, who is a PhD candidate at the Brashares Lab at UC Berkeley. Phoebe, you're here at your desk right now here at the Hopland Research and Extension Center. Can you tell us a little bit about what are you doing here?
Yeah, I study the ecological outcomes of cannabis legalization. So here at Hopland Research and Extension Center, I have experimental setups that are looking at the effects of light and noise that mimic that produced by a cannabis farm and looking at the effects on wildlife.
Awesome. So Phoebe, can you tell me why is this important to Californians?
Well, California has had legalized recreational cannabis for a few years now, but the reality is that legalization has sort of outpaced our understanding of the actual ecological consequences of cannabis production. And so what I'm doing and what a lot of my collaborators are doing is trying to shed some light on those sort of trade-offs and specifically looking at types of production practices that could actually be managed or regulated, so we have a way of understanding the impacts of different policy changes or regulation changes or just sort of general growing practices and best guidelines for farmers and communities and lawmakers.
Awesome. It sounds like great work that you're doing here, and we really appreciate all the time that you spend here and the work that you're doing. And I have to just introduce a member of your team right here. Who's this on the floor?
This is Luna.
Doing some very important research of her own just here. Thanks again so much, Phoebe. Okay, I'm here in the field with Kendall Calhoun, who is a PhD candidate with the Brashares Lab at the UC Berkeley ESPM. And Kendall, you've been out doing field work this morning. Thanks for making time for me. Could you tell us just in a couple of sentences what you've been studying?
Yeah, so I've been looking at how wildlife communities have responded to a recent wildfire here at HREC. The Mendocino Complex Fire was the largest California wildfire at the time it happened. And since we've been using cameras and acoustics to look at how mammals and birds are recovering and responding to that major fire event.
Awesome. This sounds like it's important work. Sorry about the hazards of field work, right? Can you tell us, how might this be of value to Californians, the studies that you're doing?
Yeah, well, I think it's very relevant and important to current issues of conservation in California due to the rapid increase in megafires and as well as the increased frequency of wildfires across the state, specifically in oak woodlands where we don't really understand as well how wildfires are affecting those ecosystems and communities. So I'm hoping this research can help inform which species may be vulnerable to future wildfires and how we can perhaps make actions that can better conserve those species in the future or prevent future wildfires from happening that can endanger some of these vulnerable species.
Awesome. Kendall, it sounds important work. I really appreciate what you're doing. Last thing, what's your favorite thing about Hopland Rec?
My favorite thing, the staff.
Oh, you have to say that.
No, but seriously, I wouldn't be able to do everything that we have been able to do without the staff who are awesome. You had Allison and Troy and Greg who really help us keep the work going when we're not able to actually be here.
Awesome. So, well, yeah. Thank you. Thanks for doing what you're doing. We appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ann Vado-Zalik, and I'm an associate professor at Penn State University at the York campus. And I'm here with some awesome undergrad field assistants for the summer. We have Ashley and Nick behind me, and what they're going to be doing is releasing some lizards that we collected today as part of a long-term study looking at lizard malaria here at HREC in Hopland, California. And this research has been going on since 1978, which is so awesome, which makes this the longest term natural non-human malaria study to date. There's nothing else like this in the world, and it's right here in Northern California, and it's so awesome. And because of this long-term data, we get to study just what happens in a natural environment with disease transmission. And given everything that's been going on with COVID and the importance of understanding disease ecology and what diseases that are present in wild populations and how transmission occurs, studies like this really help us understand what environmental factors are needed to allow the persistence of pathogens in hosts in the wild.
Awesome. Dr. Varozalik, I'm going to just go in a little closer. So you guys are actually releasing these lizards right now?
Actually, everyone's climbing up me to say hi right
Oh, goodness me. Oh, there we go. And you're releasing them just where you captured
Found
them
them.
from earlier on today, right?
That's right.
Wow. So, Dr. Varozalik, can you explain what's the value of this kind of research for humans?
It is awesome. So we study a lizard parasite, and it's not a parasite that humans get, but it is related to parasites that humans get, and it's transmitted by a vector, a sandfly, that is related to vectors that transmit human diseases. So by studying diseases like this, we understand the natural cycle and how conditions like drought or wildfires, like we had a few years ago, can affect disease transmission in wild animal diseases. And then we can use that data as baseline comparisons for what we see in human diseases as well, like malaria and leishmania. And then again, we can also get a feel for what diseases are present in certain animals and kind of keep a track on them and see how the prevalence is increasing or decreasing over time due to just natural changes in the environment.
Awesome. Well, we love having you here at Hopland Rec, and we appreciate that you've been involved with this study for a long time. So thank you for the time. And you guys, you've released, they're all happy and back out in the field. Awesome. Thanks so much, everybody.
I thank you so much.
Okay, so I am here with Jameson Christensen today. Jameson, I'm really happy that you were able to make some time. I know you've come straight from field work.
Yes.
Could you start just by introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about who you are and about the study that you have planned here at the Hopland Research and Extension Center?
Great, thanks. Yes, my name is Jameson Christensen. I'm a student at UC Berkeley, studying in the environmental science program. As part of our program, we get to design our own research project and then implement it, which I'll be doing there at Hopland. I'm a re-entry student, so I'm a little bit older than your average undergrad. I came through City College San Francisco and love studying ecology. I'm fascinated with the chaparral ecosystem, which is what brings me to Hopland Research and Extension Center. I'm studying the interaction between fire and this chaparral ecosystem that has been that is developed through time in tandem with fire. This research project comes after a fire event had taken place in the chaparral in Hopland 3 years ago.
Yeah.
This event covered a lot of the chaparral area that had priorly been studied by the Stevens Lab, and two people in the Stevens Lab. Jennifer Potts started the transects in around 2001, I believe. And then a follow-up study was conducted by Dr. Kate Wilkins later in around 2010, I believe. And so my study, being an undergrad, is a little bit smaller scale than what they had done in their doctorates, in their dissertations.
But this is great that you're able to continue on the work of scientists who've been studying here over quite a long period now.
Yes, and hopefully doing something that adds to the data that they collected. You know, this is, they studied prescribed fire and a surrogate fire method, mastication, in this chaparral system. And prior to that, there hadn't been fire in the system for quite some time, the known history of the area maybe. And now we have a much shorter interval in these places. So my study will be comparing how the shrub species recover in that longer interval before we have records till the treatments, and then now since the fire event.
Jameson, we're really excited to have you continue this work and to do your study here. Can I ask you, I'm very proud that you are the first to receive the Hopland Scholars Mini Grant that you applied for recently, and just found out this week that you were able to access. Can I ask, how has that helped you in being able to conduct this study?
Well, it's very, very helpful for somebody at my scale. As an undergrad, I don't have any funding sources going into this project. Everything's on a shoestring and what I can pull together. So having the research funding covered going into Hopland really takes like the largest expense off my plate and allows me to go in as an undergraduate and experience this research without like the capital investment that a master's or a higher level looking for a funded project would have going into it. So it's going to be very helpful.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate today. We're giving appreciation to all our donors who made it possible to offer these grants. So thank you so much, Jameson, for making time to talk with us. And just to finish off, I wondered if you could share with us, what do you feel like studies like this, how do they benefit California?
Well, studies like this benefit California in a number of ways. Specifically in this chaparral ecosystem, it's something that is that exists at the borders of a lot of important agricultural areas. So ranchers in general are interested in how best to maintain this landscape so that it doesn't endanger their investments in the downslope areas, the grasslands that they cultivate, or the pasture lands that they use. Also, for people that have residences nearby chaparral areas, like how far fire will carry, at what interval does it carry less far? Questions like this can make for safer places for people to live in California.
Really critical for us at this time. Yeah.
And I'd also just like to share my thanks with the donors as well for making this happen. So thank you.
Jameson, thank you for being with us today. Thanks for joining Hopland Rec and the research that continues here. And we look forward to meeting you here on site and seeing you doing the work.
Looking forward to it as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm here with Mona Latil Quinn, who is the Hopland Research and Extension Center Grizzly Corps member for this year. And Mona, could you tell us a little bit, what is a Grizzly Corps member?
Sure. It's an AmeriCorps program that's being hosted by UC Berkeley for the first time this year, and it'll be continuing for years to come, hopefully. Definitely it will be next year. The aim of the program is to put young professionals into rural areas in California to do their best to help support climate resilience in those areas.
Awesome. And for you, what have you learned in this position at HREC over the last year?
I love that question. I'm so grateful for everything that I've been able to learn at HREC. There have been so many things I couldn't possibly cover them all right now. But I think one of the most important things I've been able to do is lead volunteer events like restoration work and scientific field sampling, which can be a hard first opportunity to come by, is to lead something for the first time, but HREC's allowed me to do that, and it feels like a huge success for me, and I think it'll be an important building block for my career moving forward.
Excellent. And just to share with our viewers that your Grizzly Corps position here, one of the ways that it's supported is through a Hopland Scholars donor account. So we really appreciate all those amazing donors who've helped Madrona to be here and to have this learning experience this year. Madrona, I'd also like to ask you, you've been here about a year now, what's your favorite thing about HREC?
Well, the sheep and the sheep stewards, which are just driving by, are great to work with. Let's see, one of my favorite things about HREC is that they're doing their best to be good stewards of this land, and that looks like a lot of different things, but right now we're making a lot of different map series about how we can restore this land, how we can help the animals and creatures that live here, what works as far as helping oaks regenerate and having the baby oak trees survive. There's a lot of things that HREC does to take care of this land the best they can and to share that with the entire community. So they work really hard to include everyone, and try to extend that hand out to everyone and invite people here to learn. So I'm really excited for upcoming summer camp. We'll be working with young kids and showing them the land, teaching them about the environment. So that's just a summary of a couple of things that are really great about HREC and why I've enjoyed my time here so far.
Thanks. Do you have any words you'd like to share with the donors today?
Thank you so much. It's amazing what you've done. This is a great opportunity for me. I get to live here. I get to have a really important learning opportunity that hopefully will push me into a very successful career right after this. So thank you. Thank you so much.
We wish you luck with it, Mona. Thank you so much.